Day 93 of reading through the scriptures. We're going to start in Leviticus chapter 3. And then we got 3 other chapters, somewhere in Jeremiah, somewhere in Psalms 93, and somewhere in Acts. And if that which he presents is a slaughtering of peace offerings, if he is bringing it of the herd, whether male or female, he brings a perfect one before Yahweh, and he shall lay his hand on the head of his offering, and shall slay it at the door of the tent of appointment. And the sons of Aharon, the priest, shall sprinkle the blood on the slaughter place all around. And from the slaughtering of peace offerings, he shall bring a fire offering to Yahweh, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the sons of Aharon shall burn it on the slaughter place upon the ascending offering, which is on the wood, which is on the fire, as an offering made by fire, a sweet fragrance to Yahweh. And if that which he presents is from the flock, for a slaughtering of peace offerings to Yahweh, male or female, he brings a perfect one. So flock would be sheep or goats, the herd is the cattle. And if he is bringing a lamb as his offering, then he shall bring it before Yahweh, and shall lay his hand on the head of his offering, and shall slay it in front of the tent of appointment. And the sons of Aharon shall sprinkle its blood on the slaughter place round about. And from the slaughtering of peace offerings he shall bring near, as a fire offering to Yahweh, its fat, all the fat tail which he removes close to the backbone, and the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the priest shall burn them on the slaughter place as food, an offering made by fire to Yahweh. And if his offering is a goat, then he shall bring it before Yahweh, and shall lay his hand on its head, and slay it before the tent of appointment. And the sons of Aharon shall sprinkle its blood on the slaughter place all around. And from it he shall bring his offering, an offering made by fire to Yahweh, the fat that covers the entrails, and all the fat that is on the entrails, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them by the loins, and the appendage on the liver, which he removes with the kidneys. And the priest shall burn them on the slaughter place as food, an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance. All the fat belongs to Yahweh. An everlasting law throughout your generations in all your dwellings. You do not eat any fat or any blood. So verse 17 sounds a little bit like it could be just related to this peace offering, but it also sounds like it's an everlasting law throughout all your generations and all your dwellings. You do not eat any fat or any blood. Love to hear your comments if you think that's just of the peace offering, or all of your meat that you eat, you're not supposed to eat the fat. Anyway, I'm going to go to the next chapter.
No other chapters before Psalms?
No, we're working. The next chapter is going to be Isaiah. Not Isaiah, Jeremiah. Jeremiah. We're on an odd number today. So I think this will be right. Jeremiah 27. On the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, son of Yeshayahu, the sovereign of Yehuda, this word came to Yirmiyahu from Yahweh, saying, and this is what Yahweh said to me, make for yourselves bands and yokes. Then you shall put them on your neck, and shall send them to the sovereign of Edom, and to the sovereign of Moab, and the sovereign of the Ammonites, and the sovereign of Tzor, and the sovereign of Sidon, by the hand of the messengers who come to Jerusalem to Tzidkiyahu, the sovereign of Yehuda. And you shall command them to say to their masters, thus said Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yisrael, say this to your masters, I have made the earth, the man and the beast that are on the face of the earth, by my great power and by my outstretched arm. And I shall give it to whom it seemed right in my eyes. And now I have given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, my servant. And the beasts of the field I have also given him to serve him. And all the nations shall serve him, and his son and his son's son, until the time of his land comes. And the nations and great sovereigns shall make him serve them. And it shall be the nation reign that do not serve Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, and the one that does not put its neck under the yoke of the sovereign of Babel, that nation shall I shall punish, declares Yahweh, with the sword and the scarcity of food and the pestilence, until I have consumed them from his hand. So you do not listen to your prophets or to your diviners. So do not listen to your prophets or to your diviners or to your dreamers or to your observers of clouds or to your sorcerers who speak to you, saying, do not serve the sovereign of Babel, for they are prophesying falsehood to you, to remove you far from your land, and I shall drive you out, and you shall perish. But the nations that bring their necks under the yoke of the sovereign of Babel, and serve him, I shall leave in their own land, declares Yahweh, and they shall till it and dwell in it. And I spoke to Sidkiyahu, the sovereign of Yehuda, according to all these words, saying, bring your necks under the yoke of the sovereign of Babel, and serve him and his people, and live. Why should you die, you and your people, by the sword, and by the scarcity of food, and by the pestilence? As Yahweh has spoken against this nation, against the nation that does not serve the sovereign of Babel. Do not listen to the words of the prophets who speak to you, saying, do not serve the sovereign of Babel, for they prophesy falsehood to you. For I have not sent them, declares Yahweh, yet they prophesy falsehood in my name in order that I drive you out. Then you shall perish, you and the prophets who prophesy to you. Then I spoke to the priests and to all this people, saying, thus said Yahweh, do not listen to the words of your prophets who are prophesying to you, saying, see, the vessels of the house of Yahweh are brought back from Babel soon now. For they prophesy falsehood to you. Do not listen to them. Serve the sovereign of Babel and live. Why should this city become a ruin? But if they are prophets, and if the word of Yahweh is with them, let them now make intercession to Yahweh of hosts, that the vessels which are left in the house of Yahweh and in the house of the sovereign of Yehuda, and at Jerusalem should not go to Babel. For thus said Yahweh of hosts concerning the columns, and concerning the sea, and concerning the stands, and concerning the remainder of the vessels which are left in this city, which Nebuchadnezzar the sovereign of Babel did not take, when he exiled Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim, the sovereign of Yehuda, from Jerusalem to Babel, and all the nobles of Yehuda and Jerusalem. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, concerning the vessels that remain in the house of Yahweh, and in the house of the sovereign of Yehuda and of Jerusalem. They shall be brought to Babel, and be there until the day that I visit them, declares Yahweh. Then I shall bring them back and restore them to this place. Okay, our next chapter is going to be Psalms 93. Yahweh shall reign, he shall put on excellency. Yahweh shall put on strength, he shall gird himself. Indeed, the world is established, immovable. Your throne is established from of old. You are from everlasting. Rivers shall lift up, O Yahweh. Rivers shall lift up their voice. Rivers shall lift up their breakers. Yahweh on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, the mighty breakers of the sea. Your witnesses have been very trustworthy. Set apartness befits your house, O Yahweh, forever. Now, last chapter is Acts chapter 4. And as they were speaking to the people, the priest and the captain of the set-apart place and the Sadducees came upon them, being annoyed that they taught the people and announced the resurrection from the dead in Yeshua. And they arrested them and put them in jail until the next day, for it was already evening. But many of those who had heard the word believed, and the number of men became about 5,000. And it came to be on the next day that their rulers and elders and scribes assembled in Jerusalem, as well as Hanan the high priest, and Caiaphas, and Yochanan, and Alexander, and as many as were of high priestly descent. And having placed them in the middle, they asked, by what power or in what name did you do this? Then Kepha, that's Peter, filled with the set-apart spirit, said to them, rulers of the people and elders of Israel, today we are called to account for a good deed towards a sick man, by whom he has been healed. Let it be known to all of you and to all the people of Israel that in the name of Yeshua, Messiah of Nazareth, whom you impaled, whom Elohim raised from the dead, by him this one stands before you, healthy. This is the stone which was rejected by you builders, which has become the chief cornerstone. That's Psalm 118:22. And there is no deliverance in anyone else, for there is no other name under the heaven given among men by which we need to be saved. And seeing the boldness of Kepha and Yochanan, and perceiving that they were unlearned and ordinary men, they marveled, and they recognized that they had been with Yeshua. And hearing the man who had been standing healed with them, and seeing the man who had been healed standing with them, they could not contradict it. But when they had commanded them to go aside out of the council, they consulted with one another, saying, what shall we do to these men? For indeed they are an outstanding For indeed, that an outstanding miracle has been done through them is apparent to all those dwelling in Jerusalem, and we are unable to deny it. But in order that it spreads no further among the people, let us strongly threaten them to speak no more to anyone in this name. And they called them and commanded them not to speak at all, nor to teach in the name of Yeshua. But Kepha and Yochanan answering them said, whether it is right in the sight of Elohim to listen to you more than to Elohim, you judge, for it is impossible for us not to speak of what we saw and heard. And having threatened them further, they released them, finding no way of punishing them because of the people, because they were all praising Elohim for what had been done. For the man was over 40 years old on whom this miracle of healing had been done. Back in chapter 3 of Acts. And having been released, they went to their own people and reported all that the chief priests and elders said to them. And having heard that, they lifted up their voice to Elohim with one mind and said, Yahweh, you are Elohim, who made the heaven and the earth and the sea, and all that is in them. But who by the mouth of your servant David have said, why do the nations rage and the people plot in vain? The sovereigns of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against Yahweh and against his Messiah. For truly in this city they were gathered together against your set-apart servant Yeshua, whom you anointed, both Herodes and Pontius Pilate, with the nations and the people of Israel, to do whatever your hand and your purpose decided before to be done. And now, Yahweh, look on their threats, and give to your servants all boldness to speak your word, by stretching out your hand for healing and signs and wonders to take place through the name of your set-apart servant Yeshua. And when they had prayed, the place where they came together was shaken, and they were all filled with a set-apart spirit, and they spoke the word of Elohim with boldness. And the group of those who believed were of one heart and one being. And no one claimed that any of his possessions was his own, but they had all in common. And with great power the emissaries gave witness to the resurrection of the Master Yeshua, and great favor was upon them all. For there was not anyone needy among them, for all who were possessors of lands or houses sold them, and brought the prices of what was sold, and laid them at the feet of the emissaries. And they distributed to each as anyone had need. And Yosef, who was also called Barnabas by the emissaries, which means son of encouragement, a Levite, a native of Cyprus, having land, sold it, and brought the money and laid it at the feet of the emissaries.